All right, so we're going to talk about the toolkit. One of the reasons you came today, I hope, is to get a sense of what is this toolkit that we created for you. And we created this a while ago, and I thought a good entry point to this topic is to talk about the three basic pieces of the toolkit. And they are the three basic strategies for thriving at work. And what's cool is when we asked you what your favorite job was and why, the answers were very close to those three things. So here are what your favorite jobs were. This is about 121 people. The last kind of 20 people were people from this group. The first 100 were people from my network and from work. And if you would put in the chat anything that stands out for you. So these are people's favorite jobs. What do you see? What stands out for you? And in case this word cloud doesn't do it for you, I've got another one with the same data. Sometimes a different view can be helpful for people. All the various jobs. So just put those in the chat. And because we're kind of curious people, what did those first 100 people, what did their word cloud look like? It was a little slightly different. Clearly there are fewer HR people in that group. And again, feel free to put any insights that you see from looking at this list of jobs that were people's favorites. I definitely noticed that they were all over the place. And now I'd say perhaps even more interesting is the second question. And the second question was why? Which of these characteristics would you choose as your top three reasons that was your favorite job? And the stars on the PowerPoint here happen to line up with the three strategies in the Thrive at Work toolkit. The number one, 52 people said the team built something important, which is purpose. The second and third highest choices were I surprised myself with what I could do, 47 people, versus 2 people who said it wasn't difficult. So again, very high contrast. 43% also said I learned a lot. So again, mastery. And that is not just it's difficult, but able to handle a difficulty. So only 5 people said the reason the job was their favorite was because it was difficult. So it's the ability to overcome difficulty, to learn and grow. And then 40 people said chose I could work independently. We refer to this as autonomy, and in the campaign we call it own it. But previously take charge of it, own it. And then the opposite on this one would be one person said their favorite job, the boss told them exactly what to do, or one person said they got to tell other people what to do. And then because you are HR people, I put the two next highest results, which with the hearts, which is people treated me with respect and I admire my coworkers. So creating a culture where people are connected and care about each other is something I know near and dear to most of, I would say everybody's here. You're here with that caring spirit. And you know what a difference it makes in the workplace. So turning now to the toolkit itself. So back in 2018, we did a whole training on the topic of Thrive at Work, it was called, but the same material. And it was based on two sources, Daniel Pink's book, Drive, and a more academic version of the same information called Prime to Perform. So if you are someone who loves career health, topic, productivity, all of that, you definitely want to go to Basecamp and find the career well-being books. And I'll say that Die Empty was a big part of what I talked about at that training because there's some really interesting parts of what work actually consists of. So please raise your virtual or real hand if you had a chance to look at the toolkit. Okay, or you can put something in the chat as well. That also works. All right. So this is going to seem familiar to those people. So one thing that if you take away nothing else, I want you to take away this acronym, MAP or AMP or PAM, your choice. AMP, autonomy, mastery, purpose, or mastery, autonomy, purpose, or PAM, if you happen to know someone who's thriving at work, purpose, autonomy, mastery. So we call it in here as a little more user-friendly language, challenge yourself, mastery, live your purpose, and own it, which is autonomy. And so the toolkit Kind of the big picture is, let's say, hey, I want to get people more engaged at work. That is my challenge. So I open up the toolkit and I think, okay, autonomy, mastery, purpose. Which one of these is going to make a biggest difference at my job? And you'll see in the opening pages, there's a welcoming information, some background on each of those topics. So, but as you think about it, which of these three kind of calls out to you, challenge, purpose, or own it, which is the same as autonomy? And own it is probably fine to say. I've even had it as a sticker at my house once. So, which of those is calling out to you right at the moment, either related to your workplace or just this most interesting to you today? And I want to give you the specific example of I thought, okay, my workplace, I think the thing that Hennepin County seems to bring up the most is mastery. They use Clifton strengths and like to have people working to their strengths. So I'll choose challenge yourself. And when you turn to that section, which I will do in a second, you open it up and there's some welcoming information, some background on it. And then you'll see a list of strategies, which we'll see in a second. So you could look through that list of strategies and maybe put in the chat which um, looks the most interesting to you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And I'm going to share my desktop and turn it to the actual toolkit here. So Thrive at Work. This is the cover page. There is a table of contents. It's kind of lengthy. This is the introduction I mentioned. This is what we just talked about. What is most interesting to you? What is the focus that you think might make the most sense? And we'll come back. These action steps, they're here. It kind of give the big picture. But let's say you decided challenge yourself is my topic. And there's a little intro. If you were to send out a welcome to the challenge initiative using the tagline, maybe Thrive at Work Tuesday, you could use whatever of those questions make sense to you to send out. And then you want to choose either one or more tactics in the challenge yourself section. And here are 5 plus a bonus one in case you need more, but I'll read them out loud. Make it safer to take risks, tailor recognition, enhance productivity, strengthen professional development, build a culture that rewards specific behaviors and results, or address presenteeism, which is basically the opposite of absenteeism, where people are showing up but they're not engaged. So again, 1 through 5, maybe just put the number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And I'm gonna see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you. All right, and Anne, do you want to see if you see a lot of any particular number? All right. Well, I have my imaginary colleague here with me on this recording. So let's say we chose make it safer to take risks, and I chose this one because I will be encouraging people to get a copy of the Culture Playbook by Daniel Coyle. And he gives really great exercises. And we've made a handout that's on the Basecamp tying those exercises to here. So you'll see that there are 10 tips on making it safer to take risks. And maybe you've decided, okay, we need more innovation. People don't always feel comfortable drawing out the lines. So what are some ideas around that? So we've got tips for the coordinator of the campaign, and I'll mention the whoops the monkey. This is something that Kim Scott, who wrote the book Radical Candor, has experience with, and you have some sort of character, and the person who has shares the biggest mistake that they learned from, or however you described, they get to have that kind of traveling trophy. And then we've got some employee Thrive at Work Tuesday actions, ideas you could post about. So that's tactic 1. And let's say those 2 tactics didn't really appeal to you. Well, guess what? We got more. There are additional ways to challenge yourself by tactic. This one kind of addresses a larger picture of vulnerability and the culture and whether psychological safety exists. So you might If you're familiar with health at work, you're not surprised to see we've got local examples. Tactic 1, a local city allows employees to self-report mistakes so that the organization can learn. And for all the tactics, we have a kind of like specific ways that that's actually been applied. Then under engagement tools, some ideas. If you want tokens or incentives, we've got ideas for you, some books, some, you know, acknowledgement milestones, all kinds of ideas related to those tactics. And again, because it's health at work, of course, we would love for you to kind of measure at the end, what did people find useful? What did they think of it? Did they make any changes? And you can use that to whatever extent makes sense. So that's challenge yourself. Now you can, if you decide purpose is more your topic, you can do the same thing with that topic. I'm just gonna hit page down here and pop through purpose. Same organization, same welcome letter, same examples, different engagement tools, and then own it, the autonomy topic. Same welcome. This is I think of this one as the O blood type. If you can kind of address everything if people have the ability to take charge of their work. So, and then in case you have specific issues that aren't addressed in all of these topics, you can see what we have in kind of the additional resources. And here's you see some of those books that are on my bookshelf, but also on the career well-being list on Basecamp. So first topic is about bias. So bias is something that we are now learning to talk about, and you definitely want to, if you're not familiar with how bias, prejudice, and bullying affect the workplace, that is something that, again, one resource that's sort of summarized in this handout here is a book by Kim Scott called Just Work. That's the first resource. There's also some information on generations at work. And that's based on some work we did a few years ago. So it may be a little dated, so you may need to update it, but it's still worth pondering. A stay interview. So many of us are familiar with exit interviews. This is a stay interview. And if you don't have something like that, this is an example of Hennepin County's stay interview. And those who know me know I'm a big fan of LinkedIn, and mastery, purpose, and autonomy all can be exhibited through your LinkedIn profile. And so some good tips on how to do that. And then pulling it all together, icebreakers, you could use these questions. What I'm good at is mastery. I gain a sense of purpose at work is, and we've got sample examples or responses. When I take control of work, and then talk about that. And connection and recognition are kind of some climate setting things. And finally, a poster. So those are kind of the gist of the toolkit. And I'm going to also share one more thing with you. Pull it up here. Just because I'm really pleased that I came across this culture playbook in time to make a handout and share it with all of you. It just seems so perfect for this work. So I'm going to share this with you. So this handout is on Basecamp, and like I said, the Make It Safe. There is a whole section on conversation starters about safety, having a game plan, embracing smart icebreakers, taking a class together. So he's got lots of tips here about hug the messenger, not just, not harm the messenger, but actually be thoughtful about the messenger. So just really want to encourage you to take a look at that when you have a moment. And let's see. So that's kind of the toolkit for you. If you have questions, this is a great time for us to address those.